It's okay. You can start.
Thank you so much, Chief Rabbi Pinchas. Um, Thank you so much, Rabbi Mbogu Wamrioki, Rabbi Mwangi Aaron, and the rest that I cannot see. All of you that are listening to the show on YouTube, please welcome, and thank you so much for joining me at the show. This show will be for Refuah Shlema of Mankasi, Kiaku, for a miracle, because someone that has been one of us that has been stabbed in Belgium, Hashem should give him Rachamim and Refuah Shlema. So, with that said, Mr. Hashem, we are going to continue with our Limut Parashat Shavua, Parashat Vayeshev. So last time we started Parashat Vayeshev, and I said that the reason for this Limudim is to give ourselves a map, to be able to navigate the Torah and acquaint ourselves with the text of the Torah over within the course of the week, to get into the habit of continuous Limudim. Because obviously, when we get into the habit of learning every second, every minute, every hour, every week, every year, every month, we get into, it's not like a keva, not like fixed, but you understand that the Torah is the light of the Or Ein Sof, is the light of the Creator that is coming to us from a higher source to our world. So when we are studying the Torah, we need to know that the Torah is the blueprint for everyday living. It is really the soul of man. So let us go into more details. And for this shiur, I'm going to start by asking, a series of questions that we might not actually answer them, but to make all of us think a bit deeply about what we are reading. Because obviously, the Torah is written in the language of men, but it's normally, speaking in codes, that you need a master. If you are given a book of the Torah to read it by yourself, pardon me, you will not be able really to understand it, because the entire Torah is a code. So first of all, Parashat Vayeshev, the word Vayeshev, we spoke last time about the word, but today we are going to bring something from the Midrash, because the Midrash is at the level of the Neshama. So we're going to see something in the Midrash that is telling us about this concept of Vayeshev Yaakov me'eretz megurei aviv be'eretz Canaan. You have to mark that word, Eretz Canaan. That is the name of the land that Yaakov Avinu would be sojourning, just like his father Yitzchak was also sojourning. And we spoke about so many things, about the sale of Yosef being one of the really kasher. It was a very, very difficult moment for Yaakov Avinu. And we are going to be asking questions also regarding the Iridat Yosef, the going down of Yosef to Mitzrayim. And when Yosef will become to Mitzrayim, first he was sold several times, but he got sold. The first time he come to Mitzrayim is sold to Sar Tabachim. He's sold to a master butcher, so to speak. So we then ask the question, how come Yosef is sold to this individual and not to Pharaoh, and not to the Sar Mashkim, and not to Sar Awofim, and not to any other person in Egypt? That is one of the questions that you need to ask yourself. Also, you need also to know that Mitzrayim was also the last stop for the Neshamot that fell out of Adam Arishon during the Kuv Lamed Shanim, during the 130 years when Adam was separated from Chava Yemenu, from Chava, our mother. Obviously, I don't like using the word Eve because Eve really is a very negative connotation. It almost sounds like a Lamed Yud, the wife of the Samech Mem, because Eve is a name that they gave to Chava, but we should get accustomed to the Hebrew names because those names have got chayut, they got life in them. So during the time when Adam Arishon, when Adam sinned, they separated with Chava. And there was a period that elapsed between year 1, because there's no year 0, and then year 130. So Adam and Chava were not together during all this period of time. So it is said that Adam Arishon lost a part of himself, what we call the seeds, the zera. And of course, those are souls that were coming out of him. Those souls would be gathered for the first time in the Dora Mabul, what we call the generation of the flood. And that generation of the flood, those souls would really rebel, and they would obviously go against the Torah. They would go against Hashem. They would do very, very negative things. Akadosh Baruch Hu, blessed be his name, the Holy One of Israel, would actually send a man called Noah to teach Torah for a very long time. The Midrash says that he planted cedars, and those cedars, he started watering them, and people are asking, what are these cedars for? And obviously, over time, the cedars grew, and he made an ark, what we call a teva, out of it. And that ark would be used to redeem all of humanity. And so, with that said, the story of Yosef that we are reading here in Parashat Vayeshev is really connected to it's the same story, because the entire tikkun of Olam Hazeh, the entire tikkun of this lower plane, of this lower world, is nothing new. If you cut out the entire account of Adam Arishon, you really don't have a foundation. Even though we know that the Matan Torah will occur in the year 2448, with the coming of Moshe Rabbeinu, this is really, we still understand that there's a foundation in the Torah. So the Lemudim that we are doing are giving us a map. So I was speaking about Yosef, being sold in Mitzrayim to the Sar Tabachim, the master butcher, and not to any other. So all of these questions are going to be in your back of your mind. And you have to remember that the Torah is written in the language that is actually, it's a normal human language, but it's coming from a very higher source. And then Yosef goes to Mitzrayim. So many things happen. He's coming to power to become the viceroy of Mitzrayim, as we are going to see later on next week in Parashat Miketz. And also the dreams that he encounters in this parasha, regarding Pharaoh dreaming about the cows, and the ears of corn, 7 ears of corn, the 7 fat cows, and the thin, goodly looking cows, the cows that were not looking good, and also the ears of corn, the thin ones, 7 thin ones, and fat ones, And of course, we see his dream is going in a sequence from the animal kingdom to the plant kingdom, and that means something. So we also see Yosef Atzadi getting married to Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, Kohen On, who was a priest of On. So we see Yosef finding his wife in Eretz Ham, in Mitzrayim. So the question that we need to ask ourselves is this Yeridat of Yosef to Mitzrayim, Mikrat Yosef, the sale of Yosef. Why out of all the 70 nations of the world, 70 nations, is Mitzrayim be the one to be singled out? of course, that's just one of the questions. There were also other nations there, 70 nations. So why Mitzrayim? That's one of the questions. So I was saying before also, I'm just trying to give you some ideas and explanations that will make us to think. So I say that the first time that this generation, the seed that fell out of Adam Rishon were gathered was in the Dora Mabul. The second time was in the Dora Pelagat, the generation of this dispersion, when they were trying to build the tower of Babel, and that's actually written very explicitly in the Torah in the 11th chapter of Bereshit. And the last time this reincarnated souls would appear would be in Mitzrayim. So with that said, we can now go to something that will be so meaningful, because we are talking about Parashat Vayeshev, Yaakov. And also, you know, one of the things before we go to Midrash Tanchuma that's going to give us a bit of time to really think deeply about what it means Vayeshev Yaakov Me'eretz Megurei Aviv. So let me share the text that I want to read in Parashat Tanchuma. So Midrash Tanchuma is it's a very well-known Midrash, and the Midrashim for us are not just, please just give me a thumbs up when you can see my screen, and we will take off from there. Toda rabah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. So now we are in Parashat Vayeshev. I've been introducing it, so I don't want to take a lot of time. We got very short time. So now the Midrash Tanchuma, Rabbi Tanchuma, Ilamdenu Rabenu. So sometimes it's called Ilamdenu Rabenu. It started, it says, Kol Makom Shehu Omer, Kol Makom Shehu Omer Vayeshev. In every place that you are going to find a Vayeshev, okay, Vayeshev Yaakov in this case. So the Rabbi Tanchuma here, Alav Shalom, one of the sages, who was a Tana, and it's a master of Agadah, it's a master of the Supreme, that is painted a world that is so powerful. So it says here, Kol Makom Shehu Omer Vayeshev. In every place in the Torah where you will find Vayeshev, Lashon Tarhu. This is a language of trouble. It's a language of distress. Something, we are anticipating something that is really not so pleasant. There has to be Midat Adin, there has to be judgment that is going to come, some sort of a balancing. So because the world is not only created on Chesed, the world also has got a balance. So you have the right side, which is actually Midat Chesed, which is Avraham Avinu, and you have got the left side, which is Yitzchak Avinu, is Midat is Gevurah. So it's a severity. So you have to have a balance. Sometimes when you are when everything is just all Chesed and there's no balance, things can go wrong. So you have to have balance. So the Midrash here is telling us that in every place where you find Vayeshev, that is a language of trouble. Because it's written, it's going to give examples now. Vayeshev Yisrael be'eretz Mitzrayim be'eretz Goshen. So the Midrash is telling us, Rabbeinu, Tanchuma, Rabbi Tanchuma is telling us that Israel dwelt or is settled in Eretz Goshen. And what happens later on? It says here, Vayikrevu Yamei Israel Lamut. Then it says that the days of Israel arrive for him to pass on to die. So you see that the text is telling us that whenever it says Vayeshev, something that will seem to You know, I see if Yaakov is settled, and there is the other side that seem to be working against it in a way. So another example that he gives, וישב העם לאכול, וישתו, ויקומו לצחק וגו. So this is actually, and then it says, ויפול מן העם ביום ההוא. So this is a quote from Shemot, Lamed Bet, Chav Hey. This is a quote from the book of Exodus, chapter 32, verse 25. So it says that the peoples, they sat down, they drank, they stood up, and then letzachek, they go. So, and then it says that on that day also, they fell, many people on that day. So what are we saying? You can go back again and do your limud, and you will notice that this is talking about Moshe Rabbeinu as delayed coming down the mountain. And the people say, Ze Moshe, we don't know. This Moshe, we don't know what happened to him. And people came to Aaron and they say to him, you know, you have to make to us another God. I believe that's the text. And what happened is there was a lot of problem came. And of course, there was an issue. And it says here again, an example that it gives again, וישבו לאכול לחם, והנה אורחת ישמעאלים. So it's quoting the brothers that they sat down. Again, remember the word וישבו. We mentioned this word last time, וישבו לאכול לחם, והנה אורחת ישמעאלים. So they sat down, the brothers, after they had thrown Yosef into one of the aborot, into one of the pits, and they sat down to eat. And all of a sudden, they saw a convoy of the Ishmaelim. The Ishmaelim are the people from the son of Abraham. So Abraham had two sons, Yitzchak, who is the right heir to the Malchut, to continue the line of Abraham Avinu. But there was also another son called Ishmael, who was the son of Agar, a Mitri. So here, the Torah is telling us when the brothers had thrown Yosef, they actually sat down to eat. But I need to mention that the word letzachek that I mentioned in the verse above before, it's a language of, it's telling us that there was some immoral act that was happening. Like, for example, eating ever minachai, eating a flesh, a limb that is torn from a living animal. And remember the question that we said before, that when we are talking about tzaddikim, like Yehuda, Shimon, Levi, you know, Asher, Naphtali, and all the, you know, you talk about the Shevatim. So, I mean, there are people that understand, they are very holy, they understand the Torah. So how is it possible that they would be eating a limb torn from a living animal? It's impossible. So it means that, you know, we have to rely on the sages to be able to understand what is going on here by the text. And that's what I am always trying to say. Look, you have to have a Mesorah, you have to have a master to give you the keys to be able to understand the language of the Torah. Because the Torah is all a code. Everything is a code. So when it says letzachek, it is a language of immorality. It's so many places in the Torah where it talks about that. So, and the other place where Rabbeinu Tanchuma is saying, Vayeshev Yehuda veYisrael lavetach. So that Yehuda and Israel, they say lavetach. This is actually from the book of Malachim Aleph, from the book of 1 Kings, chapter 5, verse 5. So and it says here, Vayakumu, Vayakem Hashem Satan leShlomo, that Hashem got up and it became like an adversary to Shlomo. So you can see that Vayeshev, when people are sitting in tranquility, and you can actually see, this is a lesson here that we are supposed to learn here. What is the lesson? When everybody has forgotten what life is all about, when people think that we just came here to eat, to drink, to enjoy the pleasures of the world without learning Torah, without praying, without knowing, without looking up and asking Kadosh Baruch Hu what our mission and meaning in life is, it means that we have lost the plot. Of course, obviously, I'm not talking to you alone. Those who are listening on YouTube, those who are listening to with me now in the studio, I'm also speaking to myself that the goal of my existence is nothing to do with me running around trying to go and see the Eiffel Tower, to go to Rome and see the towers there, to go to that country and that country, you see that mountain and that thing. No, the meaning of life, the meaning and the purpose of life is to ask myself, where do I sit in the grand design of the scheme of the Or Ein Sof? Where is my mission? Once you find your mission, then you are not just, getting lost in a sea of confusion. Obviously, we're living in a world where everything is talking, and it's not so easy really to think sometimes and focus about what it means to really be a human being. David HaMelech, alav shalom, David, the king of Israel, he writes in the Tehillim that if Adam does not have understanding, doesn't have da'ah, doesn't have binah, kimshal kabemot is like basically a very quiet, it's like an animal. So this is a very serious musar here. So what we are learning here from Rabbeinu Tanchuma is saying that, look, when you see everything is so nice and so good, you should not really say, okay, and usually when things are so good, people forget to pray. But this is what the Midrash is telling us. So it says here also, Vayeshev Yisrael Bashittim. So Israel they actually sat down or settled in a place called Shittim. This was obviously in the wilderness when they were traveling under the tutelage of Moshe Rabbeinu, under the rulership of Moshe Rabbeinu. They came to a place, Shittim, which is from the root, what it means, Shitut. Shitut is foolishness. So before a person could go off and do things that are against their soul, it means that there has to be a ruach shitut. There has to be a spirit of foolishness to enter the person. So, for example, let's say a person is walking and they see something not so pleasant to their eyes, and they're looking at it. They know it's wrong, but they still go and do that. Or a person knows that you're not supposed to go that place and they still go anyway. Why? Because there is what we call ruach shitut has entered them, and that's what will make them to do that which is against the soul. So it says here, Vayeshev Israel settled in Shittim, Vayachel ha'am litznot. So the people really begin to do halotry, to take foreign women, to really begin to get involved in zinut, what we call zinut. They became to do things that were that is a sin that's forbidden by the Torah. V'chen ata poter et kulam bara'a. And Midrash Tanchuma is concluding by saying here that now you know that you are interpreting these things with evil. Azo ve'av kan vayeshev Yaakov vayave Yosef et dibatam ra'a. So the Midrash concludes here that this is what now that you've seen these examples, that when it says vayeshev Yaakov me'eretz megurei aviv ve'eretz Canaan, it's the word vayeshev. It's telling you that wherever you find that word in the Torah, it's telling you something very specific, that something negative is attached to it on the other side. So you need to be aware. The lesson is to be aware that you don't get so excited about life that you forget what it means to be a human being. When things are so good, think twice, as they say. So it says here, this is what actually means that Yosef brought the bad, evil reports. Remember at the very beginning of the parasha, we spoke about how Yaakov Avinu had given Yosef this particular code. And this kid did not perceive that was a very specific code, that code Yosef had. Now, when you read that, you actually are thinking about a garment like what I'm wearing at the moment, okay? So, but you have to need to understand when we talk about garments in a spiritual ruchaniyot, we are not referring to something that is materialistic. It's not something material. It's not a chomer. It's ruchaniyot. So in order to understand that, you are supposed to abstract it to the spiritual level. So of course, when you are talking about this garment that protect him, that the garment that Adam Rishon had, this special garment of light that later on be changed to the garment of skin. Or, you know, it used to be, the aleph used to be, but then it would change to or, if you see in the Torah, that Hashem slaughtered an animal and clothed them with skin. So it's telling you something, but in the spirituality, we are supposed to understand it as a specific protection that Yaakov Avinu passed on to Yosef. And obviously, that is the Torah of Adam Rishon that was given to Adam by Kadosh Baruch Hu. All that wisdom was passed down to Yosef Atzadik. Of course, there are so many details because this being a public forum, there are so many other limudim that Baruch Hashem that we are learning about the Kitivei de Arizal that tells us about exactly what is happening at the third level. So this is meant to be a lighter shiur that is basically giving you some hints and allusions to the secrets of the Torah, so that at least we can open our eyes and continue to grow from there. So now, the next thing now that the Midrash is, I'm going to read part 2, and I will see where to go next. So if please feel free, for those of you who are listening to me in the studio, you know, if you have a question, do not be afraid to just raise your hands using the toolbar at the bottom, and you can ask a question. Maybe you need some clarification. You can always ask. You know, it's always good to interact. Obviously, it's not about the you know, from what I'm being told now, I'm learning. It's not the quantity of learning that brings a tikkun midot, that brings the character refinement. It is the ability to extract something from the Torah and transform that, take that and digest it, because the Torah is like food. The Torah is compared, nimshal lechem. It's a mashal of lechem. It's like when we talk of bread, we are speaking about Torah, because when you have the Torah goes inside and it's actually digested. Yes, can see Rabbi Mwangi Aaron, okay, floor is yours. Please go ahead and go ahead. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Rabbi, for the great spiritual food that you have given us.
Thank you.
And as according to my understanding about the concept about the story of Joseph, I think he's giving us the ability to forgive, you know. Are you getting me?
Yes, Rabbeinu, I'm listening. Yes, correct. Absolutely. You are right. Yes.
Yeah, because his ability to forgive his brothers and interpret Pharaoh's dream, leading to Egypt's salvation.
Yeah. You know, it's what you're saying, because
yes.
Yosef is the extension of Yaakov Avinu. It's coming from a higher world. You know, there are things in the Torah sometimes when we read them. For example, one of the parashot, it says, "Vayetze Yaakov mebe'er sheva v'yelech harana." So it says, Yaakov, he came out from Be'er Sheva and he went to a place called Haran. Now, in order to understand that, There are levels.
Yes.
And we understand
Yes.
that where is Yaakov Yetzeh? Where is it coming from? So one
Yes.
can say it's coming from this area called Be'er Sheva. But what is Be'er Sheva? Okay, you could
Yes.
say, okay, it's a well of 7 or a place of
Yes.
oath. Obviously, it's talking about
Yes.
the Ruchaniyot. So Yosef
Yes.
Atzadik understands something that's the foundation of the world. Whether he
Yes.
forgives or he does not forgive, the tikkun of the world
Yes.
will never happen without him.
Yes.
So his mission has to be
Yes.
done anyway, regardless of what happens. That's why Yosef is so
Yes.
unique. So
Yes.
you are right, absolutely. He has to do his mission regardless of how much he's going to suffer.
Yes.
You know, he has to be thrown
Yeah.
into the pit. So you are
Yes.
right, absolutely. And all
Thank
of
you.
this test will come upon him. So you are right. So okay,
Toda.
you are most welcome,
Mhm.
Rabenu. So now, so we are going now to introduce something else in this part 2 of Midrash Tanchuma. We do understand we have been talking before about Esav hu Edom, Esav hu Edom, Esav hu Edom. The Torah is always telling us Esav is Edom, Esav is Edom, Esav is Edom. You read that and you are asking yourself, what exactly the Torah saying? And all the Alufei of Edom, you know, Aluf Magdiel, Aluf, and all of these Alufei Edom. Okay, so you read that at the end of the you know, we read it. So when you see this religion called the religion of Nazarut, for example, it comes from Esav. So what will be the solution with all the chaos that Esav has brought down to the world? How does it all stop? Midrash Tanchuma is going to tell us something very, very powerful. So it says here, the marketive lema'ala mina inyan. What is written above that subject? So ele alufei b'nei Esav, aluf Magdiel, aluf Iram. So it says here, what is written above? It says here, these are the alufei. These are the chieftains or the chiefs or the kings of Esav, aluf Magdiel. You know, Magdiel, Rashi will make a comment there and say Magdiel is wrong. So Magdiel is wrong. So look, the sages know everything. They know everything. Their words are not just, they are not like, you know, when they write something, they were chosen by, of course, they had the Ruach HaKodesh, they understood everything. So it's very important for us to understand that what we are learning here in Parashat Vayeshev, it is not just something that was written a long time ago. It concerns our time. And Yosef Atzadik is understood to be the one that will give the keys to Mashiach ben David. Of course, Bezrat Hashem, if there's time, we will go back. We'll go to Parashat Noach, and we'll see something about the raven, the Aoref, and the dove. And you know, Bezrat Hashem, we get that time. But let's read here. So it's saying here, Ma'ketiv lema'ala min ha'inyan. What is written above the subject matter? Ele alufei v'nei Esav, aluf Magdil, aluf Iram. So it says here, it's written, these are the chieftains of the kings of Esav, or the chiefs of Esav. There's aluf Magdiel, and Rashi interpret that as Rome, literally Rome. So we are in the Galut, that is Kasher Mamash. It's a very difficult Galut. Now, most of you who are listening to me here are survivors of this Galut. We understand exactly what Rome has done, what Esav has done to the world. It's a very you know, people will be sold during this as a transatlantic slave trade. People will be murdered in Spain, in Germany, in Africa, be turned into a graveyard. Everywhere you go, there is so much bloodshed. Who did that? The Chaya, the fourth beast in the book of Daniel. So we talk about Rome. When we talk about Rome, we are talking about the religion that we call Christianity or Natsrut. It will come and pretend to be the one running the show. It will try to sell you everything. And some of us came out of that, and we understand that everything is Akadosh Baruch Hu is doing has got an end to it. So let's read the Midrash and see what is going to happen. So Aluv Iram, Kevan Shera'a, okay, when see Yaakov, Alufei, Vnei Esav, I need to enlarge this. Okay, let me just give me a moment. So Kevan Shera'a Yaakov, when Yaakov saw the Alufei of Vnei Esav, and it yare Amar mi yuchal la'amod. So he said, when Yaakov saw this chief, the Aluf of Magdiel, Aluf Iram, then say, who is going to stand? Mil Amod. Who is going to stand? Keneged Alufim Elu. Who is going to stand in front of these chiefs? Because he saw the demeanor was very, very destructive. And this is one of the reasons why when Yaakov Avinu took the bracha from Esav, and Esav comes from the field and is sitting before his father and is crying for the bracha, it says written that the Gehenom actually opened underneath Yitzchak. Why? Because Yitzchak understood that Esav is going to be doing something that was very, very destructive. And this is the fear that's also upon the son of Yitzchak. So this is what Yaakov saw. So Yaakov saw all this alufei. And remember, we are talking about Yosef. But Yosef also is an extension of Yaakov. So Yosef will have to have something to do with the alufei. Will have to confront also the chieftains or these leaders of Esav in the Acharit Hayamim, in the end of the days, when before the time comes to a conclusion, Yosef somehow will appear, and he will have to do something, because Yosef is really it's really the head of the 10 tribes that are called the lost tribes. Okay, so but we know that they are not lost. Okay, there's a debate whether they are going to return or not return, but of course, in terms of goof, the physicality, the way they appear, okay, you can say they are lost. But when it comes to Ruchaniyot, it is impossible for the soul to disappear. Why? I'll give you an example. So the example that I always give, I ask people all the time, I say, look, do you understand that the sun that you are seeing here today is the same sun that was in the days of Adam Rishon and Chava? Is that the same sun that Hevel and Cain saw? Same sun that Noah had, and the moon and all of this? If you say yes, how is it possible for the soul that a Kadosh Baruch Hu made, the pinnacle of everything, the soul of a human being, that the height of everything, you're telling me they're going to be lost? Impossible. There's no way. And if you say no, then you have a problem now with Yahudut. Then you don't really understand what Judaism is all about. Of course, it's impossible. And I always say that the soul is like a homey pigeon. You could put it in a box, you could take it everywhere, and will still come back. So let's continue. So it says that these Alufei Edom they are very frightening. Mashal leba adavar dome. So this is the language of the Midrash of the special Rabbi Tanchuma, Alav Shalom. It says to what can this matter be compared? Okay, legamalim arbe, to so many camels, shayu teonim pishtan. So it says like this matter here, these alufei of Edom are gonna be compared to the camels. So the question is, listen, when we have a word coming up in your limud in the Torah, you're studying the Torah, don't rush. You study the Torah slowly and have a look at words and ask, why are these words coming? So it's speaking about Gemalim. we know that when Yosef Atzadik was thrown in the pit, the brothers were sitting there and they are eating bread. So they sat down to eat bread. What did they see? They saw Gemalim of the Ishmaelim. They're coming from Gilad. Gilad is actually it's a piece of land, but Gilad, which is when I did my Gihur, my conversion here in Melbourne, I chose Gilad to be my middle name. So my first name is Eitan, but my middle name is Gilad. So the name Gilad is a very, Eliyahu Navi is also called a Giladi. So it's a very it's a name that's actually connected to so many things. You got the daughter of Salafchat, it's from Yosef had two sons. There's a line of Menashe and there's a line of Ephraim. So Gilad is from the line of Menashe. So they are coming, these Gemalim, these camels are coming from Gilad, and they are connected to Ishmael. So we are talking here about Alufei Edom, but at the same time, we also get another religion also in the picture. So we are not just only dealing now with one religion now. We are dealing with the master of the camels as well. So this is also hinting to us about another religion as well. So when the Mashal is telling us that because the language is so deep, you have to read between the lines. So when the Midrash is telling us that this matter is going to be compared to camels that are carrying Pishtan. Pishtan is like it's what kind brought Cain and Hevel. The account of Cain and Hevel. You remember that account? You remember how they brought the gifts? Does anyone remember? So you can feel free to interject. So we have in the book of Bereshit an account of Hevel and Cain that are actually bringing the gifts. So Hevel brought something it brought mincha from the tzon, from the sheep. And this is very interesting because Yosef Atzadik is also connected to the sheep. He was not in the field, but he was always, his father was sending him down to go and bring and actually see the shalom of the sheep. Remember what we read before? So, but Hevel was a man of the land, Ish Adamah. So he was a man of the field, and he brought Pishtan. So what he brought was Pishtan, which was rejected, of course. It was rejected. So the Midrash here is giving us words that are so meaningful. So it says here, so these camels that are carrying this Pishtan, Haya Omed Anapach Betameh Ve'amar Echan Ikanes Kol Apishtan. So there was, I think, I don't know how to translate that, but say that there was this, I think the Safari translators, I need to check that, as a blacksmith is looking at all this Pishtan. This Pishtan is like, it's a fiber that's from the plant kingdom. So he's bringing all this massive like junk on top of the camel, and he's saying, what is going to be done with this? So Pishtan is a Pikeach Echad Haya Sham. There was one Pikeach, as Pokeach is like, it's alluding to someone who is awake, is able to see. One who was actually much more alert. He says, Amarlo, he said to him, Malecha lit moa, nitzot echad, why are you so, I mean, say it's just only one spark. Nitzot echad, yetze mimapuach שלך ויכלה אותו. So it says there will be just only one nitzot. It's gonna come forth, and you know what? It's gonna finish everything off. So that nitzot is actually Yosef Atadi. So that term there, when we say nitzot, we are talking about nitzotot are sparks. You know, there are sparks that are actually in the world. They are souls. There could be people are you know, there are souls. There are sparks of the Or and Sof. So this one soul is gonna come from Yaakov. So Yaakov is told, don't worry about this pishtan, all this straw. And it says like this. And it says like this. Yaakov Avinu. When Yaakov Avinu saw Esav ve'alufav, when he saw all of these things, and he was afraid. Mar mi yuchal la'amot li kaneged elu. And he said again, who is going to be capable of standing in front of this alufei of Edom? You have to remember also the Gemalim here. And the one that will come with Gemalim, Migilad, from Gilad, were the Ishmaelim. So you have got another hint here to another religion that is also, because two religions, one is of heaven and the other one of stone. And it's one of religion it's in the book of Devarim. It has got a stone as a symbol. The other one has got a tree as a symbol. And we know what these religions are. They are hinted here. Everything is said here. So, and it says like this. So it says like this. Who is going to stand in front of these things? Amarlo, Akadosh Baruch Hu. So Hashem, blessed be his name, say, Get Shelcha, Yechale Otam, Veze Yosef. This is Yosef. Yosef is going to come forth and he's going to finish off. Because it's written, Dichtiv, Vayaved Yaakov Esh, Uved Yosef Le'aba, Uved Esav Lekash, Vedalku, Vahem Vego. Aha. So it's written here, it will be that Vayah is a time of happiness, that the house of Yaakov will be fire, the house and the house of Yosef will be a lava, it will be a flame, you know, and the house of Esav Lekash. Now, and it will light the pishtan. Now we see something, the end of everything, of all the trouble that we've been going under through. Why Yosef is so critical. Now notice something here, the word cash. Cash means it's a straw, but also if you see the number, you know, usually for those of you that know Hebrew, also letters are numbers. So if you see a kuf is 100 and the shin is 300, that gives you 400 in numerical value. That number 400, we have come across that number before. Remember, last week we spoke about this number. I think I cannot remember exactly, but we mentioned Parashat, not yesterday, but last week, I think it was on Sunday. We spoke, it was this week actually, last Sunday. We spoke about Esav coming with 400 men to confront Yaakov in Parashat Vaishlach. And that's where we started this shiurim. But we also went back, I think we mentioned something about Parashat Chayei Sarah. And that Parashat Chayei Sarah, we also mentioned Abraham Avinu after coming from the Akedat Yitzchak. He comes back and he finds Sarah was passed on. So he will be negotiating with a man called Ephron Achiti. And he wanted to buy Ma'arat Machpelah. And he bought it, of course, with the field and everything that's surrounded, which is the Hebron. And he bought it 400 kesita, I think kesef. He bought it with that amount of money. Now you see here, the sages are saying, you know, you Esav, you came with 400 men to attack Yaakov, the holy man. Someone else is going to come with 400. He's going to give you back that going to give you a payback for all the things that you have done. So the word cash is 400. And that's very interesting. So it says here, Lechach ketiv, Vayeshev Yaakov vego. Ele toldot Yaakov Yosef. So the Midrash is concluding and saying, these are the toldot, the offspring, the progeny of Yaakov Yosef. There's a chibur, remember before, there's a kesher between Yaakov and Yosef. Yes, Rabbi Mwangi, Aaron, please go on. I can see you raise your hand.
Yes, according to what you have been talking about, I have understand, and I just wanted to give a supplement. Yes, and they say that whenever the anger rises someone's head, someone becomes stupid. And according to the story of Jacob, I think it is telling us that a true strength lies on the faith and the divine plan. So that is what I wanted to supplement, because sometimes they tell us whenever you are angry, because when you look at Esther, he was overwhelmed with a lot of anger and jealousy, because he felt that the blessing deserved him. So, and also you see, according to every plan that Jacob had, was based on what I have talked about, the divine plan, and he succeeded. Thank you.
Yeah, to that about Rabenu. So of course, you know, everything, we are not supposed to react just by feelings, because feelings are not the way to go. So you are right. Absolutely. You know, because if we are doing things based on our own imaginations, yes, then that's not actually the will of a Kadosh Baruch Hu is actually the Torah. You know, when we are learning Torah, it's not about feelings. It's about the truth of the Or Ein Sof. So, you know, yes. So in that case, a person, you know, let's say, for example, someone is insulting you, is putting you down, is calling you names. The best thing in that situation to do is to be humble. It's because, you know, when a person is doing things like that to you, you know, all your sins are actually being taken away, and they are going to be carried by someone else. You know?
Absolutely.
So humility and ava is very, very important. And Yosef Atzadi, who else was humble like Yosef Atzadi? Yosef Atzadi was a very humble person, because with all that he went through a lot. So I think, thank you so much for that contribution. Now, I would like us to go to, I've stopped sharing here, and I will go to the book of Bereshit, just to say something about Parashat Noach, and I will think we will stop from there. So just let me know when you can see my screen. Can you? Toda Rabba. So here, we have here a text in Parashat Noach. So in Parashat Noach, you might be wondering, how is this connected? This story of Yosef, how is it connected to the story of Noach? Of course, everything is in everything. So it says here in Bereshit chapter, I think it's chapter 8. It says here in Pasuk, I just want to enlarge the text. Pardon me, I'm actually getting used to the way okay, now I can, okay. So it says, like I can see, it's much better. Vayachel od shvaat yamim acharim. Vayosef shalach et Ayonah min ateva. So it's Noach basically waited for another few days, and he sends, and you can see it's very interesting, because you see, if you see in the Torah, you see the word Yosef, you know, it appears, it's like it's like the text here. It's very interesting. Sorry, so you can see here. It actually appears here. You can see it. So it's very interesting. So it's actually a dove, Hayonah, and it says like this: "Vatavo elav Hayonah le'et erev, ve'hine ale zayit taraf befia, ve'yeda Noach ki kalu hamayim me'al haaretz." So it says here that the dove, came back to the erev in the evening. Ve'hine alet zayit. There was a branch of an olive branch that was torn. Remember the word taraf. We found that word before when the brothers brought the coat to Yaakov Avinu, and they say, Akerna, you identify this coat, and if it is for you, and if it is for your son or not. And we say, well, Yehuda will say that, and Yaakov Avinu says taraf, it was torn. So that is very interesting because the same word is actually used there. So in terms of Gezerah Shavah, in terms of comparing, contrasting text, so we see the text we saw before, the fact that the word taraf appears here is not Chas Shalom, is not a coincidence, not accidental. It means something. So it says here the dove came in the 8th erev, okay? And Noach knew that the waters have subsided upon the earth. So now, what is this account? So we talk about the two birds. There's the oref, which is a bird that is actually, the color is black, but there's also the Yonah that is sometimes gray, is white, in different colors. And we understand through our tradition that the oref is Mashiach ben David, ben Yosef. The oref that was sent first, that could not find a soul, that was hovering, Yatza was going around the ark, is Mashiach ben Yosef. And the Yonah that will succeed and bring the olive leaf is Mashiach ben David. And we are now in the days of Hanukkah. So you can see here this miracle of the Zayit that is going to be brought after the world was inundated by the flood, and all of that is also hinting at Hanukkah as well. So Hanukkah is not a miracle of that's gone a long time ago. It's still existing until today. Just to conclude, I also want to mention a few other things that are written in Ketivei Arizal, in allusions. Of course, there's no time now for us to go there. Some of you that are learning through the Chief Rabbinate doing the Rabbanut understand that the Arizal is a sage. It's mamash. It's a very it's a gaon. It's a genius of geniuses. He taught it from Eliyahu Navi. So when it comes to Yosef coming to Mitzrayim, to come to Sar Atabachim, it actually explains there in one of the books of the Arizal called Sha'ar HaPesukim, which is not, it's a commentary on the verses of the Torah. So he writes there that when you want to examine the Sar Atabachim, the Sar Awofim, the Sar Mashkim, and all of this, so he's talking about Mitzrayim being actually a very a narrow place, Makom Tzar, betoch guf Adam, inside the body of a human being. So when you look at a human being, of course, the halal inside the belly and the chest is wider. The halal means a space. So, and then on the head is a bit narrow. But when you come to the garon, which is the neck, it's very narrow. And you've got the pipes in the neck, and those pipes are corresponding to what is going on in Mitzrayim. So all of these things that are happening, when we are talking about Mitzrayim, we are not just looking at a physical place. Of course, there are people that would they're going to different places to look at where Mount Sinai is. They will get this rock and they will try to split it to see whether there was a burning and all of that. But the Torah speaks about certain places. It's talks about Midbar Sin, there's Midbar Sinai, there's Midbar Paran. So what do you mean, Midbar Sinai? Where is it? Is it here in this world? Or did Moshe Rabbeinu go to a higher world? So what I'm just trying to, a food for thought, is that the account of the dreams of Pharaoh and the cupbearer with the grapes, and the Sarah Mashkim and the Sarah Aufim, the chief baker, and the master butcher, the Sarah Atabachim, and the Pharaoh itself is actually, these are spiritual. This is a kilipa. It's a kilipa. The Pharaoh is Oreb, is the back of the neck. So you have got the front, which is the Garon, and the back of the head is really back of the neck is called Pharaoh. The Oreb. You rearrange the letters and get the word Oreb. The other thing to notice here is the account of Yehuda after the sale of Yosef. So Yehuda goes down and he gets married to and we are going to conclude from here with Bezrat Hashem. I don't want to keep it for too long because my time is up. We go to the Yehuda getting cohabiting with Tamar after the death of his two sons, Er and Onan. And there the result tells us that the Zerach and Peretz are actually the Gilgulim or heir of Er and Onan, the sons of Bathshua. So we see something very interesting, that sometimes we think that we know who people are. The Torah Nistar, the hidden Torah is telling us that we are Gilgulim. We are not Nefashot Chadashot. We are not new souls. We are basically traveling this world for a purpose. So, and same thing with Asenat, but for the Pharaoh Kohen on, the wife that will be married to Yosef Atzadik is also a Gilgul of someone. So we need to understand that when we are talking about this, all of these things that are happening, Mitzrayim, Eretz Canaan, and Haran, and all of these things, the Torah is giving us a map, a spiritual map. And this is the aim of this Shurim. So Bezrat Hashem, I hope that you have learned something. And the most important thing is not the quantity, but the quality of what we are learning. When we learn, the Torah is very practical. When we learn something from the Torah, we need to put it into practice. And of course, it doesn't matter whether you're already very, very steep in the Torah, you know the Torah from birth, or you are actually someone who is, growing, or someone who is really want to support Am Israel, Bnei Israel in bringing the Geulah, because we are in the last leg of the redemption. So this is a war over the souls. So thank you so much for joining me in this limud of Parashat Vayeshev. I think that brings us to a conclusion. So just to wrap it up, we need to understand that when the Torah, when the Torah speaks about Vayeshev, it's telling you that don't settle to, you have to understand that the real tranquility in Olam Abba, the world that is coming, not the world that will come, the world that is coming, meaning that I construct my world right now, because the path that the soul follows is also the path that the person is following in this life. So most people think that the real work begins tomorrow. No, it's actually now. So because there's a connection between Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. It's called Olam Haba, the coming world, not the world that will come. So Toda Rabba, thank you so much, Rabbi Mbogo wa Muriuki and Rabbi Mwangi, and the others that I'm not going to see, and those who have joined me on YouTube. I hope that this limud was meaningful to you on Parashat Vayeshev. Next week, we'll be doing Parashat Miketz, and it will be so much connected to this, what we are doing, because this Parashat really are all talking, even including Parashat Vayigash, are all talking about Yosef. And so you can see Yosef, Mikrat Yosef, and the Yiridat of Yosef to Mitzrayim, the land that's called Mitzrayim, is very, very meaningful and very important. So Toda Rabba, thank you so much. If there are no questions, then we can stop from there. Thank you. Toda Rabba. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Toda Rabba le'kulam. Thank you.